Well, okay. Welcome to this program entitled The Vanka Murals, Then, Now, Forever, which is part of the Vanka Table Talk series presented by the Society to Preserve the Millvale Murals of Moxo Vanka. I am Ted Bergfeld, Humanities Librarian at Gumberg Library, Duquesne University. Gumberg Library has teamed up with the Society to present Gift to America 2.0, New Voices, New Walls, an exhibit of works of art commissioned by the Society that were inspired by the works and themes expressed by Vanka in his Millvale murals. Tonight's program is the first of three related to the Gift of America 2.0 exhibit. The exhibit is currently on display at the Gumberg Library on the Duquesne University campus and is free and open to the general public, as are the other two programs related to it, and more on those in a few minutes. To begin things this evening, I would like to say a few words as to how and why Gumberg Library has teamed up with the Society to promote the Vanka murals and works of art inspired by them. First, I'll talk about how we came to be involved in the project, and then I will say why. In February 2021, Gumberg Library hosted an art exhibit called Art for August. These were works commissioned by August Wilson House, and Duquesne University has had a relationship with August Wilson House for over a decade. And so we were approached by our honors college, and that is the department that interfaces with August Wilson House, if the library would be interested in hosting this exhibit. And we were happy to do that. And we also did a program to go along with it. It was a panel discussion where we had two of the board from August Wilson House talk about why they had commissioned these works for the Art for August traveling exhibit. And one of them was one of the artists, and his name is Corey Carrington, and he happens to be the curator for the Gift to America 2.0 exhibit. And when I was talking to Corey about what we would want him to say, I said, well, we'd like to know what about August Wilson inspired you to create this work? Can you talk about your creative process? Can you talk about what it's like to be a young artist of color in Pittsburgh now? And I also said to him, and please let people know how they can buy your work if they're interested in that. And he is a very articulate speaker, and he held the students spellbound while he was speaking. And when it was over, I said to him, Corey, that was great. And it was mainly because of him. And I said, I hope that we can work with you again someday. And he said to me, well, what about Gift to America 2.0? And I said, because I knew that phrase, Gift to America, was what Vanka said about his murals. And I was intrigued, and I said, tell me about this. And he did. And I immediately said, yes, we would be very interested. I should have, of course, checked with my supervisor and the university librarian first. But when I told them what I'd gotten us into, they were pretty happy about it. And so that's how we came to be involved through that. Now let me tell you why we got involved. The Vanka murals are world-renowned works of art, completely original. This would be enough to draw a university to a project to give even greater exposure to them. St. Nicholas Church, which houses the murals, is a Catholic landmark because of them. And as Duquesne is the largest comprehensive Catholic university in the state, this too would naturally draw our attention. But what really drew us to the project is Vanka's themes. While Moxo Vanka was not a traditionally religious man, he was a spiritual man who concerned himself with the political and social currents of his day. And these moved him to create works expressing his ideas on a number of themes. And Vanka's themes echo the teachings of the Catholic social justice tradition. And these are ideas that inspire the mission of Duquesne University. So for example, Vanka, an immigrant himself, speaks to the immigrant experience, the leaving all that you know and risking your life to make a new life for yourself. And Catholic social tradition supports the rights of immigrants as they seek new lives in new places. And Duquesne University was founded by immigrant priests to educate the children of immigrants who came to Pittsburgh to work in its industries. Vanka speaks to the rights of workers and support for working people, the rights to organize, collectively bargain, and even strike when necessary is another tenet of Catholic social teaching. Vanka gives a justifiably harsh critique of war, and seeking and pursuing peace is another aim of Catholic social teaching. Vanka addresses the rights of the poor and criticizes unregulated capitalism, and the preferential option for the poor is a central, if not the central, aspect of the Catholic social justice tradition. And we could go on. Vanka's themes find expression in the principles that underlie the Duquesne University mission, and so partnering with the Society to bring greater public awareness to Vanka's murals and of the new works in the 2.0 exhibit that were inspired by them is the most natural thing for us. And we are happy to be joining the Society in this endeavor. If you would like to know more information on other programming at Gumberg Library regarding Gift to America 2.0, as well as information for visitors to Gumberg Library and the Duquesne campus to see the art exhibit and to attend the programs, because they will be in-person programs, we have created a webpage summarizing all this. And the easiest way to get to this webpage is to go to Google and type in the words Gift to America 2.0 Gumberg, and we will be the second thing in the result list, with the Society's webpage being the first. And so now I would like to introduce to you the main speaker of the evening, Anna Daring, the Executive Director of the Society to Preserve the Millvale Murals of Moxo Vanka.
Thanks, Ted.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure to be working with you so far, and look forward to this being the start of many, many opportunities. And I'm, no offense, but I'm going to mute you right now. While you're all looking at this screen, which has our very long mission statement on it, I'm just going to take the opportunity to again say, my name is Anna Deary, and I'm the Executive Director of the Society. The Society to Preserve the Millvale Murals of Moxo Vanka is an independent nonprofit organization that was founded, actually grew out of the congregation as they realized, especially in the 80s, that when they finally were able to see some of the damage to the murals, realized that protecting this art treasure was not going to be something that they could do alone. And so they founded a nonprofit organization so they could bring the community into this work and make sure that they could gain as much support as needed to preserve the murals for the long term. But also a big part, and I tend to boil this mission statement down to, we save and share the Vanka murals. And that's what really is at the core of our mission, with SAVE being really the conservation of the work, but also keeping them visible in the public eye. And that's part of what this collaboration is about, is making sure that we reach new audiences. It's amazing to me sometimes how relatively unknown the murals still remain in Pittsburgh, but we're hopefully changing that. So I'm glad to be here tonight. I'm going to switch over to our agenda, and I'm happy to, you can find the Vanka Murals and the Society's webpage at vankamurals.org. And there's so much more information there than I'm going to take time for tonight, just because we do have a limited amount of time and want to get through a lot of stuff. So what's that stuff? So I just want to give you a brief rundown of what we're going to be doing. And I'm going to start by trying to pull up the poll. If you haven't responded yet, please do. What I'm seeing, and I'm not sure if you can see the poll that I'm looking at this point, but what the poll is saying to me is that 72% of our audience tonight has never seen the murals in person. And so only 28% have actually visited the murals. So I'm going to close the poll now, but, and oh, I can share my results there. So you can see them right there, I think. Can you see those, the results? Great. Basically, that's not something that sort of surprises us still, as I mentioned, but we're looking to change that. But the good thing is that means I am going to get to show a lot of you things you've never seen before, the interior of St. Nicholas Church. But it goes without saying that we hope you'll make a visit top of your list, because this small screen we're all looking at does not do them justice at all, and you really do need to see them in person. Just a few housekeeping things for people who are new to the webinar that we're set up tonight. You can find on your toolbar a Q&A button, and that's a place for you to feel free to add questions in as they occur to you through the program. Since again, we're kind of going to push through, I think, on the program and get to Q&A toward the end of the night. We don't want to lose those questions as they occur to you. So please feel free to add them in. I'm also going to note that there are at least a few of the Vanka Murals docents that have joined us tonight. So if you're asking specific questions about the murals, don't be surprised, and I invite our docents to help me answer those questions. So those might come up. You can use the chat function to talk to me or Ted if you're having a problem with getting in or hearing or anything like that. And other than that, I think I do want to say that we're going to try and do our program in about a total of 45 minutes. So you have about 15 minutes to ask questions. We do have a few videos in here, but they will go fairly quickly. And I'm going to, so you see the agenda here. This is sort of how it's going to lay out. I'm going to start with then, which is our first video. So after this video, if you're having any trouble with hearing, let me know. I do want to say about the video that at the end we bring in one of our key constituencies reflecting on the murals, and that's the Croatian community that's here. And we may have also even embedded a little bit of a star cameo appearance here in our video, but we'll let you go, and hopefully you'll enjoy this introduction, this sort of summary history of the murals.
Pittsburgh, in its heyday, an industrial powerhouse, a city of iron, of steel, of smoke, thousands of jobs, thousands of immigrants. They came from all corners for the work. Slavs, Italians, Black Americans, Jews, Germans, Scots, and nearly 40,000 Croatians. St. Nicholas Croatian Catholic Church was constructed in Millvale in 1900 and rebuilt after fire in 1922. Paintings were the inspiration of the church's Franciscan priest, Father Albert Jagar, who envisioned the bare walls of his humble church adorned with scenes depicting the life and faith of his Croatian parish. He found the ideal artist in fellow Croatian Maximilian Vanka. Born the illegitimate child of nobility in Zagreb, raised by a peasant mother before being reclaimed by his elite family, Maxo received formal training in Brussels and Zagreb. These portraits attest to his mastery, but upon witnessing the upheaval and hardship of the First World War, and then the Great Depression, Vanka turned his brushes to deeper subjects of poverty, suffering, and the unheralded ordinary world. Sailing to the United States in 1934 with his wife and child, Vanka spent time in New York and the Midwest and fell in love with Pittsburgh's gritty landscapes. In 1937, he returned to Pittsburgh and accepted Father Jagar's invitation and began work on the murals. The work was demanding, though maybe not as dangerous as his tongue-in-cheek sketch suggests. But in just 8 short weeks, 12 of the paintings were complete. In 1941, Father Jager invited Vanka back to finish the church walls. World War II was now raging. Hitler's legions covered Europe, including Vanka's native Yugoslavia. In response, the artist filled the remaining walls of St. Nicholas with his most dark, disquieting, and dramatic images. Looking back later in his life, Vanka called the murals his gift to America, a thank you for welcoming him and his Croatian brethren to a new land.
Seeing the 25 murals in person, I was amazed, impressed, proud, and appreciated that such a valuable treasure and legacy exists in America.
These larger-than-life representations of hope and sadness and tragedy and such monumental murals. You would see a Croatian mother with her son, and you would experience an immigrant worker's experience, or you would see a sad mother near a battlefield and you really felt her pain.
Vanka told stories of people. Some murals illustrate immigrants from Croatia who came to the new world for a better life, opportunities, freedom, and democracy. He used the walls of St. Nicholas Church to bring attention to injustice and poverty.
The Max Vanka Millvale murals, one of the most beautiful gifts of an immigrant artist to a nation. They are very tough, with some wonderful William Blake-like images of human life, influenced by the industry at the time and also by the wars in Europe at the time. I highly recommend a visit to these beautiful, very loved and very well cared for works of art.
But one that really caught my eye was the one above the altar picturing the Blessed Mother, and especially the saying above the altar that said, Mario Kraljice Hrvata moli za nas. The Kraljica Hrvata, Blessed Mother, is very important to the Croatian community and faith, and that was very special to see that written above the altar, the main focal point of the church.
And just walking into the church, I saw the murals, and I was just speechless, because analyzing art, artists, anything what he wanted to say through this beautiful connection of the old world and new world just gave me a goosebumps, as well as gives me today thinking about that. Perfect national costumes, perfect expression on the working people here in Pittsburgh, and they're connected over the Atlantic. The artist said absolutely everything in with his murals.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that quick summary of sort of the history of the murals, but also some of the commentary that we like to hear from one of our, as I said, one of our key constituencies. So what I want to do now is just reiterate a little bit of the history. St. Nicholas Croatian Catholic Church was first built, the first one was built in 1900. And this, you can see sort of, you saw a better picture in the video, but it had a very large onion dome on the top, and then it had these short bell towers. And in 1921, as we saw here, or you saw that other picture, the church had an interior fire that essentially the ceiling dropped into the center of the church. And as you can see by this picture, this is the rebuilt church in 1922, while the walls were very strong, or the primary structure was strong. they rebuilt the church and essentially changed the roof structure. And there is and again, still part of the dome at the back of the church, but this is the church today that most people say, oh, I've seen that church on 28, you know, when I'm going to and from Pittsburgh on 28. So this is St. Nicholas Croatian Catholic Church today. I should say again, it is an active Catholic church. There is still the parish is still active, and that we work in partnership with the parish when we do our tours and do other things at the church, but we enjoy that partnership. So what happened here though was that basically a new canvas was created with the restructuring of this church. And the walls, if you had walked into St. Nicholas in 1900 or any time between 1900 and 1921, you would have seen fairly traditional church murals on the walls, fairly, I guess they would be very similar to what you would see in Europe on church walls. In 1922, they repainted and replastered, and the walls stayed white until Father Jagar invited Vanka to the church to paint the murals. And one of the reasons that Vanka was chosen was because he had come to Pittsburgh in 1935 and spent time helping Louis Adamic, who was writing about the immigrant labor situation in the United States at the time. He was helping to illustrate what was happening in the industrial centers. And he loved Pittsburgh. He came here, he walked the rivers, and he stayed sort of incognito, which is sort of what he did in New York, where he was living at the time. He would kind of go out and in disguise at times at night, so he could capture what was happening to the common man and what was the stories that were happening on the streets. But he came here to Pittsburgh, he loved it. And he had a one-man show in Oakland, and members of the congregation and Father Jagar, as our information tells us, saw the work, and Father Jagar immediately felt that he had found the artist to paint the Church of St. Nicholas. And of course, these scenes are the things that Vanka loved. And here's an example of one of the sketches that he did of the city while he was here. I'm happy to tell you that we have the sketches of Pittsburgh and Millvale in our collection now. The Vanka family gifted that to the society in 2019 and 2020. We received an additional gift, and we'll be announcing the premiere show of the collection early in the spring 2023. So you'll have a chance to see all of the sketches that Vanka did of Pittsburgh at that time, which is very, very exciting. Lots of familiar spots that he enjoyed. So this was Father Jagar's. You know, Father Jagar needs a lot of credit for this. He was patient. He thought about what he wanted these murals to be, how he wanted to decorate the church, and he really did want them to tell a story. He really also wanted to create and reinforce the community for the recent immigrants from Croatia, so that they had not only a spiritual home, but a place where they could gather and be together and see visions of the old world, as well as, you know, sort of see the honoring of the work that they were doing here in the New World. So really, when you see the murals, they really are telling a story. That was really Father Jagar's vision to do that. And these are just some images of Vanka painting in the church and Father Jagar. He really did, and it's when you come for a visit at St. Nicholas, that with few exceptions, Vanka painted almost every surface of the interior of the sanctuary at the church. There were some areas that were left blank. There are some areas that have been painted over the years for various reasons, but really this was a one-man tour de force. This was Vanka painting from 9 a.m. to 3 a.m., 6 days a week in both sessions, 1937 and 1941. And as you're looking at these pictures, as I've been challenged to get scaffolding in 2022 up in the church. And I look at what Vanka used. Likely you can see some of the wood scaffolding there. And he was painting by himself all this time. This is a one-man effort. And he was painting with water sensitive paint. This is not fresco. So these walls, by the time Vanka painted, were long dry. And so he was painting more like secco. So that's why the conservation of these is such a challenge. But going back to Father Jagar and sort of the subject matter, because I think it's always said, and it's said, truthfully, is that these are not your typical church murals. But it really was something where Father Jagar was very clear that he wanted traditional religious images around the altars at the front and the side altars and the main altar. But he really didn't prescribe too much more to Vanka. But I think they had a real meeting of the minds. I think they both agreed about the storytelling. I think, as Ted explained, about so many themes that resonate with Catholic teaching, with the social justice commitment of the church, and also, of course, what both men wanted to say about what was happening to immigrants in the new country, what was happening at the expense of progress, and who was paying that bill for progress, and also obviously what was happening in 1937 and 1941 when Vanka was there, which of course, poverty, war, etc. So these are just a few pictures of Vanka in the church. So now I'm going to take you in St. Nicholas Church. So just bear with me for a minute while I flip over to our tour here. So here you are. And if anyone can't see this or is having a problem, let me know. But this is our 360-degree tour of the Vanka Murals in St. Nicholas Croatian Catholic Church. While we were sad not to be welcoming people into St. Nicholas while we were during COVID, we got a lot of work done, including filming this 360-degree tour. So I am really going to give you an abbreviated introduction to the murals. I will be able to bring up each mural individually so you can get a closer look. But actually, we can go back to this in the Q&A. So I would say too that I'm going to really just give you an introduction to the main murals, and then we can continue to have a conversation about them later on as well. So as the woman said in the video, as you come into the main entrance of the church, this is what you see facing you at the main altar. And this does say above here, Mary, Queen of Croatians or Croats, pray for us. And this was where Vanka started. The main altar mural is 3 stories high. And I'll bring up a little bit closer view of Mary. What is also here in this main altar is sort of the start of a lot of the themes that come through the Vanka murals. You have the old world. Well, you have Mary looking not like your typical Mary. She looks more like the imagining of a woman who would have been sitting in the pews at that time, sort of very substantial. We actually think, if you heard that story about Vanka in the video, Vanka was fostered in the peasant community outside of Zagreb when he was a child from birth till age 8. And we do think that this imagining of Mary is really a tribute to his foster mother, Dora, who took care of him, and he maintained a good relationship with through his life. But again, it's sort of this non-traditional view. We also see that Mary is sitting on a throne, but it's not an ornate throne. It's a throne that really has the folk symbols of Croatia, but it's kind of a modest presentation of a throne. And baby Jesus here, the face of the baby Jesus is actually his daughter Peggy's face, and he painted that representation there. But also on this mural are what we call the pastoral Croatia or old world Croatia, and this is Croatians in America. So you start to get those comparisons that Vanka did between the old world and the new world. And in this situation, you have, and I'm looking at pastoral Croatia here, you have the workers at that time praying the noonday prayer, asking Mary to bless their work in the fields and their family. They're all together here, where by contrast, although these two men back here made the trip over from the old world, it is them dressed in their new world clothing with Father Jagar here in obviously in Pittsburgh, asking Mary to bless the labor that they've brought to the new world. And this is what they're contributing to their adopted country. So the other thing that we like to talk about with Mary, there's a lot to talk about with Mary, but Mary sort of set the pace for Vanka's completion of the 1937 murals. So if anyone wants to take a guess in the chat or on the, or wants to, well, I won't, we'll do that later. Well, I don't know that we're going to be able to do that today. I'll just tell you that Maxo Vanka finished this first mural in 1 week. So this is a 36-foot mural, fills the apse, and that was really the pace that he set for the rest of the murals, because he painted the first session in 8 weeks. And I'm going to kind of buzz around a little bit here, and I apologize, we're still getting used to our technology here, but I'm going to take you over here to the side altar. And if you can see it up in this left area over here, this tells you where you are in the church. So you can see where you are in the church. Here we have the Pietà. Here, again, a fairly traditional or a more traditional religious image here, painting. But what we have also is that this grieving mother, this divine grieving mother, and I'm going to spin you around if you get sick, I'm sorry, is facing these grieving mothers. And this is called Croatian Mother Raises Her Son for War. And like Vanka's, like a lot in the church, this was supposed to be based on a true story of a soldier who made his way back to his village in the First World War and died in his village with his mother sitting by his side. And what we see here is fields that are anticipating more death from war. And these are not nuns in praying here or sitting with the body. These are mothers who are grieving. This is traditional Croatian costume for mourning in the old world. And I'm going to keep trying to move forward, and Ted's going to give me a flag if I'm running too late. But the what we typically do if you're in the church is we take you next across the ocean over to Pittsburgh. So we're going to go over here to Immigrant Mother Raises Her Sons for American Industry. And this mural, again, like the one on the other side of the church, these are grieving mothers. These are, sorry about that. These are mothers who, this is a mother who has lost her son. We know that this is based on a story that Vanka heard about a Johnstown. Sorry about that. I'm going to try and get over here, trying to figure out where I'm going. Let's see. I guess I'm going back over to the crucifixion really quick. And then I'm going to spin around so we can see that. There we go. This was also based on a true story, or based on a mining incident in Johnstown where at least 12 Croatians were lost. We're not sure that 4 sons were lost, but that is a story that's been told as well as we've told the story of the murals. But as you can see, in comparison with the Croatian mother raising her son for war and this mother, the Croatian son is in a casket and being cared for. This son in the New World is laid out on a Croatian newspaper and is being treated differently than in the Old World by well, treated differently by the New World, not by the mothers there. And you can see the workers going back into the mill, the mine here. But these grieving mothers are facing, again, this grieving mother. So we always try to think a lot more these days about where Vanka placed the images, the paintings in the church, and how he thought about things. And he always said that in making the divine human, he was trying to make humanity divine and bringing that connection closer together. That the immigrant mother, Croatian mother's grieving was to be valued, to be treated with respect. So also during the 1937 series, Vanka painted these the evangelist scenes. So this is Matthew, and up here you have Mark. So these are in the barrel vaults above these, and you have Luke here, and you have John. And one thing I always want to note is you can see to a certain extent that these murals have like a metallic finish around the back of them, some type of metal. That was also painted as the background for Mary, Queen of Croatians. So the main altar mural really would have been seen almost as an icon, a big icon on that wall. So that was a quick trip through the 1937 murals. We count 12 in that series, and that was an 8-week effort by Vanka to paint all of those. It was roughly one mural every 4 to 5 days that he was painting. When he came back in 1941, he started here on the Old Testament wall. And you can see here Moses, the hand of God. Moses, the tablet that Moses is holding says, "Thou shalt not kill." And one of Vanka's, it said it in the video, one of Vanka's experiences was as an ambulance driver in the First World War. So you see his sort of experience coming through with that. He painted Mati. This is Mother Croatia on the cross. So Mother Croatia's chained, her arms are behind her on the cross, and you'll see a close-up image of this later, but she's crying tears of blood. But she's also related to the Croatian mother raises her sons for war here. And right with her on this wall is Prudence. And actually, one thing I want to point out with Mati is that if you get close to Mati, and I'm not sure we can see it very well here, actually, Vanka always throws us in a little bit of hope for the future. And so you have these child hands with a blooming linden sprig here. And you have also these hands next to chained hands next to the dying end of that linden tree. And so Vanka is certainly clear, sending us a message of hope, but also what is going to make that hope possible: freedom. You have prudence, prudence being a virtue. A lot of the kids in the church always thought that prudence was telling them to be quiet when they were at Mass. But we think that was really Vanka's message to the congregation, which was that you're in a new world. You're an immigrant in a new world. You could be judged by what you say and do, and you should be careful what you say and do. Facing the New Testament or the Old Testament wall is the New Testament wall, and I'm having a little trouble getting to that one. Hold on, there we go. Uh-oh, sorry if this, uh-oh. What happened there? Okay, sorry about that. Okay, New Testament wall. Sorry. We have the New Testament wall. Oh boy, we have a look there. And under the New Testament wall, I'm going to speed up a little bit. You have Peter is receiving the keys to the kingdom up here and it's through the eye of God. And that behind Peter, the Archangel Michael is striking down the devil and coming to one of the most striking images or murals in the church, which is injustice. Injustice is obviously holding unbalanced scales, bread being outweighed by gold, a hooded figure. We always think that probably Vanka kept Injustice hooded because he didn't want to put someone specific in that mask or a face behind that mask. They wanted us to define that for ourselves. You have justice sharing the wall with injustice. And I always, one contrast between the two, besides the balanced and unbalanced scales, is injustice's feet firmly on the ground, sort of crushing humanity underneath them, with justice floating above the earth, with the lights, the flames of enlightenment here in the scales. Those are being what's balanced. So going underneath the choir loft very quickly here. Right here we have the capitalist. So we have this very sort of sumptuous table by this man who is, are we having trouble with seeing? Oh, are we having trouble with the connection, Ted? No, are you okay? Is the connection okay? Okay, so we have the capitalist here, and we always look at this table and think, what a beautiful table, but he doesn't seem to be enjoying it. He seems to be much more interested in his stocks and ignoring the people who are serving him or asking for his help. And it seems to me that his soul is sort of heading in the wrong direction there, at those back images, those shadow images with the angel shunning him. And then this mural, let's see if we can get it to go down. Hold on. This mural faces this mural, which is called The Simple Family Meal. And here you have a very modest meal being shared by many in the flames of Pittsburgh behind. And you have Christ with that table. And it feels, we always ask children, they always think that that table seems a lot warmer, a lot nicer place to be than the capitalist table. This couple of people in this mural to take note of, this was the former mayor of Millvale at the time, who was pictured here, one of few that Vanka actually painted as portraits. Then you have his daughter Peggy makes an appearance again here at the table. Above us are the battlefield scenes. So you have Christ on the battlefield and Mary on the battlefield. And again, two of his more striking murals, again, painted in 1941, reflecting a bit more the First World War. But what you can't see in this image, in this detail, is that many of them are wearing Christian symbols or insignias that define it as Christian killing Christian. And you have Mary obviously horrified by what she's seeing happening here. And you see Christ being injured, being speared exactly in the same place, you can't see it very well, where this soldier is being speared. So when you kill your brother, you are killing Christ, you're killing me, is sort of our interpretation of that. And finally, just to kind of get us into the middle, I think I will get there, hold on, is sort of what Mark Rylance referred to as the William Blake section of the church. You have, this is called transcendent vision. So you have Christ rising and descending. You have the apostles here on either side of the altar. You have an angel with lilies here, an angel playing a gusla here, a celestial harp here, and then again, the flames of knowledge up there. And in the choir loft, which I'm going to be able to show you up close with some recent conservation, you have St. Francis, St. Clare up here. And Vanka always reminds us a bit of St. Francis, is our thinking there. So that is the 360-degree tour. And I know there's probably some questions coming out of that, and we'll try to look at those when we get to the question and answer. And I'm going to take us back to our presentation here. And so what you saw there, and I apologize if there's any trouble with the visuals, and it is a wonderful tool, and I'll be happy to bring it up again when we get to Q&A. but you really do need to see them in person to appreciate that justice and injustice are almost 15-foot murals. It's all larger than life. It's very immersive when you get in the church, and so we really encourage you to visit. So one of the things that we do, I mentioned that the murals are water sensitive and difficult to preserve, and we do have a lot of water damage on the murals at this time that we're working on, and we've been cleaning and restoring the murals since 2009. We've finished now a total of 14, and I'm going to be able to show you a little bit of the conservation here. So.
We have 11,000, 17,000, I don't know, square feet of mural to clean, and all of it is sensitive. Pittsburgh is notorious for the amount of soot that was put into the air in the 20th century. This is removal of decades of soot.
Oh, sorry.
Will return us back to the original surface. And we can confirm that too from early photographs taken just after the paintings were created that show us how bright and crisp the original surface was. When we work on these murals, we're reviewing every single brushstroke that Maxo Vanka made. And nobody knows these surfaces more intimately than my team. We get to see every detail, details that a lot of people can't see from the ground. We're on scaffold now, and we can see the butterfly, detail of the butterfly, or the birds that he paints. So this is our first chance to get up close and see the condition of the ceiling. I have a number of different bamboo sticks. We don't use Q-tips. We would go through, I don't even know how many boxes of Q-tips if we were to clean this with Q-tips. So we make our own, but I have here a number of aqueous systems, and we change the pH, we change the conductivity of the aqueous system to have effective ways of removing the soot. Maxo Vanka painted half of this church in 8 weeks. It takes approximately 8 weeks for the conservation team to conserve just one mural now. I consider myself fortunate to have such an amazing project, a gift like this that happens to be in Pittsburgh and just a 5-minute drive from my home. And to work with so many talented colleagues. I feel like we brought people together of different professional fields, and we are all trying to solve one problem to give the best conservation results for this local treasure.
So I'm back. I'm always amazed at watching the conservators work, and it's and the nice thing is they've been working recently on some areas that were very accessible to us, so we had a chance to watch them work. And I think I've said it a few times, but I'll say it again. These if you scrubbed hard enough, these murals would come off the wall. So the idea of how to carefully take this 80 plus almost 90 years of dirt off the wall is you know, really a challenge. And what we didn't talk about, but we can tell you a little bit more about, is that we also use technology in the conservation, employing nanoparticles to help us to stabilize the plaster in areas where the water damage has been significant. And that is something that we have. You can see here in this one corner, this was the corner of the Pietà that I'm pointing to, where in 2009, almost that whole right side bottom quadrant of the Pietà was damaged and needed to be repaired. But recently, we've been working, I mentioned my scaffolding challenges. We've been working on St. Francis and St. Clair. We had support from Rivers of Steel mini grant program and some private donors to do these murals. And a couple things that were important was we didn't expect to get to the ceiling as much as we did. And it was really a wonderful opportunity because being able to test the surfaces that we haven't been able to reach, and then be able to plan for the conservation for the future of the ceiling, which is, you know, a one-shot deal. You get up there, you have to get it done, was really a gift. And so you'll see this was the big scaffolding setup that we used here. And also things like this border, and I'll see if I have another picture of it. We have some more images from the conservation here, but things that they have here, let me see, you can see the differences between the dirt, the dark and the light. But some of these are really, when we see these, we just see how bright the ceiling is going to be and how bright the rest of the upper walls are going to be when we finish cleaning them. So and also many of you, some of you may already know all of this about conservation. It's always new to me when they discover things. They discover things, new details. They see the brushwork, Vanka's brushwork comes out very clearly. They can tell when it was painted, or they can confirm the date of painting because of the color that he was using and what was being used at that time. There's a lot to learn just by listening to the conservators, and to watch them get as excited as we do after all these years of covering these surfaces and finding new challenges that they have to solve. Let me just go here. And St. Francis, and one thing I wanted to, you can see it best here, but if you look at these borders crisscross the interior, crisscross the church. So that just really gives you an example of the dirt that was there, and you see it down here. You can see a few more images of St. Clair being cleaned. And also the ceiling arch. The ceiling arch was, as I mentioned, was kind of a revelation to us. We'd never been up in that ceiling. And this area up here is a bit of a mystery about how much Vanka was intentional and how much is dirt. And so it's kind of figuring that out as they go, sort of thing, is just amazing. So it's been a great process recently. So that's really sort of that save part of our show and sort of the introduction to the murals. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about the share, which gets us obviously to Gift to America 2.0. But and again, you can read this while I'm talking, but we spent a lot of time during the shutdown doing serious planning about our future. And one of the things we did was a comprehensive interpretive plan that really is about guiding us toward being interpreted more like a small museum, managing the works that are on the walls there as the stories that they are. But these are some of the things that we want people to feel and think when they come to the church. And it's really, that interpretive plan is just sort of giving so much form to our programming inside and outside the church. But we really, we have been spending a lot of time planning not only the conservation, but how we work with the community, how we share the murals. And so these are some of the guiding themes that we work toward. And this is some of the examples of, and as I said, we have a few docents in our midst tonight who are really the heroes here, who spend their Saturdays and other times giving these hour-long tours to people, to all diverse audiences. And about 10 years ago, I would have said the majority of a lot of our audience were coming from outside of Pittsburgh, but we really have been connecting locally more and more, which is very exciting for people to be discovering this treasure in their backyard. And so we do these tours. It's a 60-minute tour that really tells you the story sort of the story that I told, but much better when you're on site and you have a chance to kind of interact with the docent and talk to them, you know, ask your questions and talk to them and really get close to the murals, which is always exciting. And then we've really branched out into education. Again, one of the things that we think is that the Vanka Murals provide an immersive and unique context for learning, and that really they kind of bring together history, art, and social justice, and the story of Pittsburgh and its place in history. So it's really a great place to bring students and to really sort of, it's very just rich in what it has to offer. And we really focus on the themes of love, social justice, and community in our educational programming. And you can get a sense, we do this collaboratively, working with educators from around the city, and really have been having a great time bringing more and more people to the church. And I just noticed Ted has left us, so you're left with me for the rest of the evening, but we're getting close to our Q&A time, and I'd be happy to tell you. So this is education as another way that we share. I should say, if there are educators or folks in the audience who are interested in bringing a school group or a learning group, even teachers, we do professional development opportunities here. Please reach out. We'd love to connect with you. And then we reach into our community. And I should say, Wally Jamal is the narrator for our background video, the video that you heard at the beginning. But this is some of the images from times when we bring the community to the church, or we meet them outside in Pittsburgh and around through our Off the Walls programming. But we really are excited about not only how many more people are visiting the church and seeing the murals, but how many people are contributing to the way that we're interpreting the murals right now and sharing their perspectives with us on the themes. And as we get closer to talking about Gift to America, that was really an opportunity where we said, for years we've talked about, and we know that these themes and the murals are timeless, but we really needed to kind of affirm the claim that they're universal and that they can resonate with others and all audiences. And so we've been really trying to do that work of bringing those diverse perspectives and new people into the murals to help us think about ways that we share the story of the murals. And I'm just reminding you to add them to the Q&A if you haven't. And that's what gets us to what's next for us and how we see sort of using the murals as not only sort of, again, what they are, which is a rich experience at St. Nicholas on site, but also something we can take out into the community. And this gets us back to some of the things that came out of our interpretive plan. And this really led to our thinking about the Gift to America project, which is we see that through our interpretation of the Vanka Murals and the ways that we save and share these murals, we want to help to answer these essential questions. So how can art move and inspire people and foster positive change? What do justice and injustice look like in our world today? How do we make history, and how do we build community? And so we're looking at all of those things as we think about how do we continue to build audience and appreciation for the Vanka Murals today and for their long-term preservation. And one of the ways that we're doing this is through our Off the Walls programming, which is really the term we use for our work that's outside the church. And we do that with a number of different partners. And with the support of the Opportunity Fund and the Pittsburgh Foundation, we were able to do something we've been wanting to do for a while, which was ask artists of today to think about the themes that Vanka painted, to be inspired by what the task or the sort of miracle he created in St. Nicholas, and figure out how they could do the same thing. And so we offered commissions to interpret those themes. And this is what you're able to see right now at the Gumberg Library on the 4th floor, the interpretations that were done by these 4 artists. And I'm going to introduce Corey Carrington through his curatorial statement. And this is the person who is responsible for bringing the Gift to America to TED and to Gumberg. But I thought his curatorial statement was perfect, and sort of absolutely what we are hoping to achieve with this. And so this is Corey Carrington. Corey will be moderating an artist panel on September 21st at the Gumberg Library, so you could meet him in person. And these are the artists, Christian Dolores, and the quotes that you're reading are the quotes that were in their application for this project, where we asked them to interpret justice, injustice, immigrant experience, and or motherhood. And in some cases they did it all, and in some cases they honed in on one or two themes. But this is Christiana Dolores, Max Gems Gonzalez, and I understand from Ted that you all can see some of his work out some windows right near where you are at Gumberg. And this is Max's interpretation. Maggie Negretti, who did the fabulous Head in the Hole, and I hope that people will go and stick their head in there and take their picture, but it's the I Am a Saint. And this was based on a project she did at the church with a multi-generational audience, asking them to define the ways that the special things that they offer themselves to the world, and have them sort of represent themselves in these drawings. And then Q Perry, who he collaborated with Amachi Pittsburgh and talked to the kids who Amachi serves, and came up with this image of this painting here, which is just beautiful. All of them really taking seriously the larger than life idea of Vanka. So I just want to reiterate that, what we are hoping to do with this project is to continue to commission artists every couple years to do these interpretations. And I'm not talking a lot about them tonight because they will be speaking for themselves on September 21st. And I really encourage you to attend their presentation and hear from them about the experience of this and what they took from the Vanka Murals. And I just wanted to make sure you knew where to find us. The murals are in St. Nicholas Croatian Catholic Church in Millvale, and you can find us at vankamurals.org. We're also on social media, Instagram, Save Moxo Vanka, and Vanka Gift 2.0, and we're on Facebook. So that's where you can find us. vankamurals.org will take you right to, you'll see a book a tour come up, and you can come and visit us on a day that's